So I'll be grabbing the BTS, and you can see that there's plenty of traffic here, so just gotta be careful with crossing the road. One interesting thing that I just saw is this gentleman, he's on the wires and they are cutting up the trees. My goodness sake, I hope he's okay. But looks like they are chopping down the different branches, but they are on the electrical wires. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, that's kind of that's new to me. Oh, he just got down. Thank goodness. Wow. I'm not sure if that's... Yeah, I'm a little confused as to why they would even have the trees in that area. Just a little confused as to why the trees are growing into the power lines or the cables. But wow, just incredible. And just to give you some insights on and just to show you the cabling here, I know when I was in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, I saw something similar. I see it all around here as well in Thailand, but the cabling is just the cabling is on another level. Wow, take a look at that. There's the cabling right there. Yeah, just not sure how this all works. Just an entire entanglement of the cabling. It's just crazy to me, just how it all looks. And it's just not this part. It seems like this is one of the main parts, and then there's another one over there. But wow, it's just as I said in one of my earlier videos, I want to say that this looks very complicated. But one time, years ago, I walked into a server room at my previous employment, and and this actually doesn't look that bad. So I know, yeah, some of the cable management and network engineering is can be some of the network engineering can be a little bit of a nightmare, especially when it comes to cable management. But you can see here, I'm not even sure how to make sense out of this. There's like boxes. There's different boxes too. Tons of loops. Wow. Just incredible. All of this just works, or maybe it doesn't work, but wow. I think someone just had a zip tie fest with these cables, and it's just fascinating to see the results. Wow. My goodness sake. Just tons and tons of loops. Are they zip ties? I want to see. Hold on. I want to see the zip tie. Are they? Just curious to see if they're zip ties, or I think it's clamps. They use clamps and a combination of zip ties, I want to say. Oh, some cables are just loose, like this one right here. It's just going nowhere. Maybe it just not working, but wow. Just incredible to see the cabling here in Bangkok. Wow. So you see that there's yet another and there is another giant sprawl of cabling here. Again, I don't know how all this works, or how they've managed. How does like someone come in here and set this up, or make updates or adjustments or modifications? just incredible. Wow. I'm not sure what those boxes are, or yeah, it's confusing. Definitely a network engineer would probably have a nightmare or a heart attack, or I don't know. How do you feel about this? One of the interesting things, another thing that I noticed about this neighborhood is there are motorbikes parked here, and one of the things that happens is that the motorbikes park here, and there's a line over here where folks can solicit a motorbike ride. So the folks here, they line up. I've seen the I have seen the folks line up in this area, and then they can hop onto the motorbike. It's kind of like a waiting line for motorbikes. So if you don't have the apps like the Grabs or the Lineman, or if you don't want to go on the metro, you can easily just wait in line right here, and there's a motorbike there's a motorbike driver ready to go just for you. The line can get really long. The other day I saw the line all the way down here, so I thought that was pretty interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop on the metro. One of the things that I really like the metro here in Bangkok. Very convenient, just very nice, very easy to ride. Costs about $1 or so to different places, just depends. But here is more entanglement, more of a live view of this cabling or cable management. Wow. Let's take a look at that. How do they, my goodness sake. There's a box right here. What does it say? DTAC Tri-Net. Maybe some kind of connection to the internet, I don't know. But it looks like they are not using, looks like they're not using zip ties, they're using coils. So you can see the coil right here. You can see a bracket right there. Wow. Yeah, they're using brackets of different sorts. And I actually feel like I'm a little bit on the edge here, because this is way too close to cables, right? Yeah, this cabling system is definitely shocking to me. I hadn't seen this one specifically, but I've seen some other ones as well. Let me see, there's more. Oh, the cabling reaches into the branches here. Wow. So here's just a big roll of cables of sorts, and you can see that the cables go right into the trees. So that's why that other gentleman, he was on the trees and standing on the cables trying to chop down the branches. But wow, that's incredible how they've managed to kind of build this system of cables. And I've noticed, you see that there's a coil, it's just there. There really is no use for it. They just kind of wrapped it around, maybe for another day or for someone else. Maybe if there's an update or some kind of modification, they could use that cable. Maybe they can use that coil, kind of like a spare coil or something. But there's another coil right there. Wow. It's just a giant coil doing nothing. It's just wrapped around, flimsied out, I think. There are different cables where they just go nowhere, like that one right there. There's just cables on top of cables. It looks like some of these cables are also wrapped with cables. So I'm not sure if that makes sense, but they've used the cables in a way, but they've leveraged the cables to tie other cables, which, yeah, I don't really know about how that could impact the quality or the performance of a cable, I've heard of something called, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, so feel free to correct me, attenuation. It's like where the cables on top of the cables could damage themselves or something like that, just because of the I don't know, but I've heard something called attenuation, something like that, where cables that sit on top of it, the cables perform or function at a lower quality. But it just got my attention as I'm coming up to the station. There's another set of cabling over here. Oh wow, and actually the cables are running through here. Looks like they use some special tubing on this side, but wow. Interesting how all this cable is just out here in plain sight. They actually got creative and used a clothing pin right here. There's a clothing pin right there. That's creative, I guess. They ran out of coils or they had an extra pin hanging out. But wow. This cabling is just fascinating. So back to what I was saying, this cabling over here is also just out in just a huge entanglement of cables. Wow, my gosh. I'd be so confused if I was like a cable management analyst or supervisor or an engineer or electrician just coming here and having to make modifications. Like, where does someone start with this task or project? Or like, what if something doesn't work? Like, how do they get in here? And actually, one of the cables there, one of the big loops right there is kind of hanging by a very thin thread. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's another thing. What if these cables or boxes fall? Wow, that is another level. Wow. Oh yeah, right here. It looks like one of these is tied with some type of rubber band, or kind of like a, yeah, I'm not really sure, but they've actually leveraged the handrail here. They've actually leveraged the rail to tie some of these cables here, just kind of to give it some wrapping, and that way it could wrap onto the other side. Wow. This is just a fascinating topic to me, or this is just a fascinating sight, how they can use the rail to wrap the cables around. That's just fascinating. Wow. They really got creative here and managed to create a cabling system that works, but I'd say it's very complicated, very intimidating, and just very yeah, I'm at a loss for words as to how this cabling is set up. Not sure where I would start if I was tasked to do something with the cabling. I'd be afraid that I'd jam up something or compromise something, or just overall cause some type of interruption. Wow, my goodness. See, and the interesting thing is, over here, the cables are running in through that tube, that metallic tube, which obviously I think that's much safer, much cleaner, or more optimal. So that's pretty cool, right? But over here, they're all a jumbled up mess. Anyways, after that, here's the traffic for this specific area. So now I am going to the BTS train station. lots of restaurants here. I feel like a lot of the BTS stations have a really nice mall connected to them, so that's convenient. So I'm going to go get a ticket. Must be like 30 bahts or 32 bahts, something along that nature. So make sure that if you do come, to carry some bahts. So I've got my ticket or my card. They use a ticket, they use a card. It's a one-time card. It's basically a tap onto the machine, and then at the destination, I'll insert it and the card will go back to the metro network, and the card will return back to the station. And this card, the one-time pass, was 30 bahts, 31 or 32, between 30 and 32 bahts, which is $1. So that's what I've learned about. That's one thing I know about Thailand. It seems like the fare is about $1 for some of these for the train. So which way do I go? I think it's this way. Yeah, so just gotta climb the stairs, go to the platform, and wait for the train to come. So now I'm on the right side, but one thing I notice about the train here in Bangkok is the amount of ads. It's just filled with ads everywhere. Even the screens in each gate has ads. Ads up there, ads behind me. I'm surprised the floor doesn't have ads, but hopefully they don't get any ideas. But there's ads here too for KFC. I don't think these are digital, but more of a banner. But just ads running across the entire board over there. Just intense how many, and then on top of that, all the trains are labeled with ads. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I just think it's too much. I mean, I understand folks want to obviously get the word out, their business, their product, but just seems a little bit overwhelming or too much. I don't know. But I'm gonna hop on the train. If you're here, this is basically how you can guide yourself. They have these banners here with the next station, so that's helpful. And I don't see the full route anywhere. They used to have it, but I don't remember. They used to have it, but I'm not seeing it anywhere around here. Maybe it's posted somewhere, but you know, not sure where it's at. It would be great if it was on the screen, but obviously it's being taken up by an ad. Respectfully so. They're paying money to the station. And the train is super easy to ride. Just sit there and wait for the next train to come. The train comes about every 5 to 6 minutes, I want to say. So that's pretty good, right? This is an interesting deal right here. I've seen this promotion. This promotion actually is exclusive to only some McDonald's. Some McDonald's that don't participate in this will not offer this, but take a look at that. This is a promotion. You can choose any of these 4 combos for $3 or $3.25, I want to say, because the ratio is 1 to 30. So isn't that a good deal? Regular burger, a regular McChicken sandwich, I want to say barbecue or a fish fillet combo for $3. It's not bad, right? Yeah, I don't see that mapping, but it would definitely be helpful for some folks. Just something to be aware of. Just make sure, I think the mapping may be on the bottom. And oh my goodness, what is this? What is this? Just a bunch of plushies of all sorts. Wow, these plushies are all over the place. Oh, excuse me. You can see that these plushies are decorated in pink. Wow, seems like this is a Siam Center plushies. But wow, and there's chocolates, cameras, hearts, all sorts of different items here. Very beautiful. Wow, I've never seen a decoration like this. Just very beautiful. Wow, very, very creative. My goodness. Wow, definitely been a day. Definitely been surprised this day, but just the amazing things that you see when you travel all across just the amazing things that you come across when traveling, just so different. It's something so minimal like plush bears. It's just very beautiful. Wow, a lot of creativity here. I usually, so the metro stop is over there, which is Siam. And I usually walk through the Siam Center or Siam Square Center, which is this mall right here. And then I exit down the escalator, which is a really small escalator, and then I hop into this area. And then the MBK Center is over there. I don't know if there's an easier way to do it, but with the heat, it's better to go through the Siam Square, just because it's air conditioned and just gets you to the MBK Center much quicker, at least for me. That's the only way I know how to get to the MBK Center, using the metro station, the Siam station. So if there's a better way, let me know, because I've always used that way. I've always used that specific way to get to the MBK Center. And yeah, this is beautiful, as you can see. All the beautiful decor of the Bangkok area, or I'd like to say this is kind of the center of Bangkok. And this is one of the main museums, or it's more of a center, I guess. I'm not sure, but it's called the Bangkok Art and Culture Center, or the BAC. I don't know. I'm not really sure if people use the acronyms BAC, but I just call it the Bangkok Art and Culture Center. And they have a lot of great exhibitions. I've been here a few times and seen some of the exhibitions they have, and they are really, really worth visiting. I think most of them are free of charge. If not, you can definitely walk inside free of charge. So if you're here, you can definitely go in there, check it out, and just admire the different art pieces that are in there. I've seen, like I said, I've seen a lot of them, and they are just amazing. My goodness. Definitely take some time to go in there. I'll probably go in there later, but take a look at this. This is the entrance to the MBK Center. They have the Donkey store, Donkey store. Yeah, I mean, I like that store, but I just find myself just browsing as opposed to actually buying stuff. A lot of that stuff is really, really cool, very nice, and very funny, but I just don't seem to end up buying anything after browsing. But there's some really nice statues here with the dogs. Those are really cool.